It all begins in the life of Junichi, a lonely boy. He is envious of everyone because they have partners. When he arrives at the classroom, he meets his friends, who are Sakamoto, the boy with glasses, Keigo, the blonde, and chubby Minoru. All of them are also frustrated at being alone. While Junichi is lamenting about being alone, his childhood friend Nene appears and brings him his forgotten lunch. Apparently, she likes our protagonist, but he doesn't pay much attention to her. When Nene leaves, upset with Junichi for not thanking her for bringing him lunch, his friends approach him to introduce her to him, as they are all desperate. But at that appears this girl named Yui, who is the girl that our protagonist likes and treats Junichi quite well. Junichi is happy to be with her. Then we see Junichi's friends reading this rather strange magazine in front of everyone. We notice that it makes the other couples uncomfortable and they pass one of these magazines to Junichi. He throws it on the floor thanks to this girl named Yukana, who tells him that it disgusts her. Junichi, hearing that, gets a sad look on his face. After the class, the boys still think about having a girlfriend, mainly that she is a gal, who are very naughty girls. This information was taken from the magazine. At that comes Junichi, who starts to imagine being with Yukana, who is also a gal. At the end of his fantasy, Sakamoto tells him that he will be the one to ask the famous Yukana for a date. Junichi refuses, although Sakamoto ends up sending Yukana a love letter from Junichi. Yukana notices the letter and asks her friend to go ahead. After that, she meets Junichi, who is very nervous. However, he plucks up the courage to remember what he wants: to stop being an otaku. He asks Yukana to be his girlfriend, but she replies that he is a loser. Junichi thinks that he has been rejected and that his school life is over, since Yukana, being popular, will end up making fun of him with her friends. Although he notices that Yukana's clothes are lifted up on him, so they stay in this kneeling position. Yukana asks him to get up, but he stays in the same position to keep looking at the things that are good on Yukana. Despite so much resistance from Junichi, she asks him why her and why he likes her. Junichi thinks he shouldn't tell her the truth, so he tells her that he simply likes her rough side. Yukana learns that he actually wants to lose his virginity to her, something that angers him. Although that passes and starts to make him nervous, but it turns out to be a joke. Junichi thinks it's time to leave, but Yukana stops him and tells him that she likes him and agrees to go out with him. At night, Junichi starts to think about his new girlfriend and that he actually can't believe he has a girlfriend that hot. Although he starts to think that it might be a trap and that it's to make fun of him, another part of him starts to think that she might like him and that's why she agreed to go out with him. At that, this green guy appears, which is Junichi's naughty side. He reminds them what his real goal is: to stop being an otaku. Fast forward to the next day, where Junichi walks to school and is still thinking about the same thing from last night. But he is stopped by his friends, who apologize for making him suffer so much for proposing to a girl like Yukana and want to know all the details. Junichi tells them that Yukana surely has him on her list to ruin his school life, but his friends tell him that if that happens, they would never leave his side. Junichi is happy to have friends like that, though the moment is ruined when he sees a message from Yukana, which is a picture of her showing him what she will eat. The boys, seeing that, no longer know Junichi as their friend. But after a few minutes, they make up and Sakamoto gives him some tips for dating a gal. The first thing he should do is to invite her to a karaoke, since popular guys always have privacy in this kind of places. Also, there are some karaoke rules, and the first of these rules is that you should choose a love song that you sing together, and then the lady will fall at your feet. Although Sakamoto later feels hurt, since karaokes are not for doing such bad things. Junichi enters the classroom, where he runs into Yui, who notices him worried and asks him how she can help him. But Shunichi says nothing and thinks that he can't ask Yui for help. At that, Yukana appears, which sticks a lot and comments to everyone that she and Shunichi started dating since the day before, something that leaves everyone impressed. After that, Shunichi keeps thinking about inviting Yukana to karaoke and wants to ask his friends for help. But they run away from there and he decides to catch them. When he catches up with them, they all start to criticize him for having a girlfriend and then leave. That doesn't last long though because Yukana shows up, who asks him for some time together. On the other hand, we see Nene, who is waiting for Shunichi and realizes that he is already accompanied. Seeing these two together hand in hand, she becomes sad and leaves. Both of them don't pay much attention to her though, and Yukana takes Shunichi to karaoke. Inside the karaoke room, Shunichi thinks he will do little things with Yukana. Once inside the karaoke room, Shunichi notices a notice informing him not to do adult things there, and remembers Sakamoto's words. At that moment, Yukana arrives with the drinks and upon seeing her, he starts to think weird thoughts. When he comes back to reality, though, he realizes that Yukana is simply having fun singing. It turns out that the song she is singing is a love song. Shunichi thinks Sakamoto was right, though he thinks that actually, Sakamoto made the whole thing up. It's Shunichi's turn, who doesn't know what song to choose, since all he knows how to sing are anime openings. But that doesn't matter, because Yukana plays an anime opening that they both sing together. Inside Shunichi's mind, his cool personality appears and advises the other personalities that they should not despair and that they will soon get what they want. They should not be in a hurry, and the first step to glory is a kiss from Yukana. So Shunichi takes the courage to kiss her, but Yukana tells him that she has a hair on her nose, something that affects Shunichi very much. Yukana leaves the room to get something, although we actually realize that she was nervous about the kiss and comments that she can't kiss a person like that, all of a sudden, on a whim. Once outside the karaoke, Shunichi thinks he has missed his chance, but Yukana informs him that she would like to go back to the karaoke with him. That makes Shunichi very happy, and far away, we see a girl spying on. Sometime later, Shunichi finds a love letter in his locker, and as he reads it, his friends show up. He notices that he has this kind of letter, which makes the boys feel bad because the same thing doesn't happen to them. Although Shunichi comments to them that he can't see that girl without telling Yukana first, his friends tell him that if he doesn't read that love letter, he's a monster and that's what Yukana would think of him too. So he should go. And the reason for this advice is that guys might take advantage of this situation with Shunichi to get a girlfriend. For that reason, Shunichi goes to the place that the letter told him to go and meets this girl, Ranko, Yukana's friend. The first thing she does is to get very close to Shunichi and tells him that she likes to be direct. Shunichi moves away from her, and Ranko climbs on top of him and starts to tease him. At that, Yukana appears, who comments to him if he is trying to cheat on him with another girl, though it turns out to be a joke, and Yukana introduces Ranko to him as her friend. Ranko starts talking about their towers and that Yukana's towers have always been bigger than theirs, so she starts touching Yukana and Shunichi's towers. Seeing that, Shunichi is fascinated, although Yukana moves away from her and comments that she will leave with her boyfriend and they get the hell out of there. Yukana, being close to her boyfriend, warns him to stay away from Ranko because she is very dangerous. Upon returning to Ranko, we see that she is upset to see these two together. At home, Shunichi gets a message from Yukana, who informs him that the next time they go out will be accompanied by Ranko. So the next outing is with Ranko, and they go first to bowling and then to lunch, where she damages the moment of these two. After that, they continue their route and are spotted by Nene. At a store, Ranko chooses something for Yukana to wear, but Yukana goes to Shunichi and asks him to choose for her. To which he chooses another piece of clothing, but Ranko wants him to choose the other one to show more flesh. They then go to the dressing room to show her clothes to Shunichi, who in the end ends up preferring Yukana, which leaves Ranko very angry. As they leave the store, they are approached by a group of boys who ask Yukana out. Shunichi, seeing this situation, decides to defend his girlfriend, although he is pushed. But Ranko interrupts and tells the boys that she will go with them, so they agree. After a while, Ranko returns, and it turns out that she had given the boys theirs. As Shunichi returns home alone, he begins to think about how ridiculous he made a fool of himself defending his girlfriend. His thoughts are interrupted by Ranko, though, who says that it was brave of him to defend them and that she likes that. She then takes Shunichi to her house, where she wants to do things to them. Shunichi is about to give in to temptation, but remembering his girlfriend, he decides to refuse and tells Ranko that he won't do it with just anyone and that he wants to do it with someone he likes. Although those words don't bring anything positive for Ranko because Ranko throws him to the ground and tells him to stay away from Yukana and Shunichi. Seeing the way Ranko acts, she learns that she is in love with Yukana, and at that Yukana shows up, who is angry that she was not invited. So they are safe. As an excuse, Ranko tells her that she was testing her boyfriend, and Yukana thanks her for that. Ranko starts to remember her past with Yukana and how they started to be friends, something that makes her cry apologizing to Yukana, and Yukana consoles her. While Shunichi was on his way to school, he ran into Ranko, who cornered him telling him not to tell Yukana how he felt. Shunichi, upon seeing her, did think she was cute. We see that these two are spied by Yui, who is angry to see Shunichi with another girl. The reason why Yui is angry is that she always thinks that others, to her, are just servants, especially Shunichi, whom she sees as her faithful puppy. Next, we see Shunichi, who is investigating more about the gals. While he was still researching, he comes across a streamer who leaves him mesmerized by how beautiful she is and comments that she is pretty. Already at school, we see how Yui, who greets everyone kindly, although inside she just thinks that everyone is her servant. On the other hand, in the same classroom, Shunichi's friends start to see the streamer, and Shunichi notices that it is the same one he saw the night before. Sakamoto thinks he had seen it before, but he can't quite remember it. Back at recess, Shunichi meets Yukana for lunch, and Shunichi begins to think about how Yukana could give him his lunch. However, his thoughts are interrupted by Ranko, who won't let these two be alone. At that, Yui appears, who approaches Shunichi and asks if they can talk in private. But Ranko butts into the conversation, telling Yui that it is rude to interrupt them. Yui, hearing that, apologizes and leaves. When Yui is gone, Ranko asks him about his and Yui's relationship, and Shunichi denies having a relationship with Yui, but Ranko still suspects something wrong about Yui. It is time to leave, and Yukana comments to Shunichi that she will go with her friends this time. Shunichi is sad about it, but she cheers him up a bit by calling him doggy. When he is alone, Yui appears, who asks him for a favor to help her with the tutoring. Shunichi ends up agreeing. So first they go to a coffee shop, where Shunichi wonders what they are doing there, and begins to think that Yui took him there because she is also interested in him. He comes back to reality, though, and Yui only asks about his courtship with Yukana, and if it is real, to which Shunichi says yes. Yui comments to him that she thought he liked more mature girls, and Shunichi replies that he thought the same, although Yukana has a lot of good things. Apparently, those words did not please Yui. In the evening, we see Sakamoto seeing the red-haired streamer, who is complaining about an issue, and gradually Sakamoto realizes who that person really is. The next day, Shunichi is stopped by Yui to thank him for yesterday, something that makes Yukana jealous. Outside the hall, we see Sakamoto recording them, and he later meets with these two, where he reveals to them that the streamer is none other than Yui. They are overheard by Ranko, who finds that story interesting. Later, we see these two reunited again, and Yui tells him that she wants a favor personally from him, and takes him elsewhere. When they arrive at their destination, Yui confesses to Shunichi that she likes him, and hopes to date him, but needs him to finish with Yukana. But Shunichi doesn't do that, because he likes her very much. Yui, hearing that, gets too angry and shows her true personality, showing that she simply loves him as her faithful dog. She also blackmails him by showing him a video of him and her together. Shunichi thought he was finished, but it turns out that these four show up to tell him that they already know his secret. Yui, upon learning that, simply gets the hell out of there, giving the cell phone memory to Shunichi. As the protagonist was leaving the school, he runs into Yukana. On the way, he explains to her that he didn't do anything weird with Yui while they were together. Yukana replies that she knows he didn't do anything, since he is in love with her, so he doesn't worry. Fast forward to one of those normal nights where Shunichi had a dream about Yukana. It turns out that the one in front of him is none other than Nene. Shunichi doesn't recognize her and thinks she's a gal. He asks her who she is, and turning on the light, Nene informs him that she is Nene and shows him her new change of look. After that, they head to school together and meet these three friends and Minoru. Upon seeing Nene, they are interested in him, although upon learning his age, they are no longer interested because they like them younger. On the part of these two friends, they are more envious of Shunichi than ever. Shunichi tells them that there is nothing wrong with going to school with her best friend, but Nene doesn't help much by commenting that they are very good friends. These two friends are so envious that they get the hell out of there. Upon arriving at school, Shunichi runs into Yui, who asks him not to tell anyone about what happened. However, Yui notices something strange, and that is that Shunichi has the smell of another girl. There appears Nene, who starts talking to Yui and comments that she looks like an older woman, something that offends Yui a lot. Yui is about to activate the God mode, although she is called and doesn't do it. Back in the classroom, Shunichi is tired because of everything that has happened that day. Yukana, seeing that her boyfriend is discouraged, ends up asking him out. On the other hand, we see these two friends suffering, thinking that heaven has its favorites. Later, while they were having lunch, it turns out that Nene appears again, who wants to feed Shunichi. This is seen by Yukana, who wants to finish him off and asks him who he is. Although Yukana remembers that she is the girl they saw the other time, Nene angrily asks Yukana to come over, so they start measuring each other's towers to find out the strength of their bumpers. In addition, Ranko also joins in and Shunichi enjoys the show. Once that is finished, Nene tells Yukana that he knows she is with Shunichi out of pity and that she is only using him because he is an otaku. Yukana, upon hearing that, asks him why he thinks Shunichi couldn't have a girlfriend, to which Nene replies that she is the only one who has been with him all along. But Yukana tells him that she knows Shunichi is not popular, but that is no reason why he can't get a girlfriend. Nene, hearing that, runs off crying. Later, while Shunichi entertains himself by watching a live one, he begins to think that he should learn more about the gal. Although that is interrupted by Nene, who is somewhat uncovered and asks Shunichi to do little things to her. Shunichi's personality is active, but his alpha male personality shows up, which calms things down and gives the wild version of Shunichi a cuddle. Back in reality, Shunichi covers for Nene and tells her that he doesn't want to do it. Nene asks him why if she wants it, and Shunichi replies that for that very reason and that he won't take advantage of that situation to be with her. He informs that he wouldn't do it either because he doesn't want to see his girlfriend sad. Nene, hearing that, understands the situation and tells Shunichi that it's great. The next day Shunichi is a bit discouraged and Yukana notices that and tries to cheer him up. But then Nene appears and decides to be a cooler gal than Yukana so that Shunichi chooses her. Sometime later, when Shunichi arrives at the classroom, he is called by Sakamoto, who shows him the advantage of playing this game, which is the king's game, with his girlfriend so he can advance in their relationship, plus they will be there to help them. But it's all a plan, because they also want to be with Yukana's friends. Later, at lunch, Shunichi is still thinking about how to ask Yukana out, but Yukana interrupts him and tells him about the summer vacation and that they should go out. And Shunichi accepts, something that makes Yukana very happy. Shunichi just thinks about how lucky he is to have Yukana and asks her if he can go to her house. Yukana accepts thinking that something could happen between the two of them, but Shunichi damages that moment because he tells her that he will also invite some friends, and that makes Yukana angry although she also accepts. Shunichi wonders what she did. Later, at the school's exit, Shunichi is waiting for Yukana to go home. Before that, he runs into Yui, who hears that he will go to Yukana's house, and Yui wants to join. After much insistence, Shunichi agrees to go, and she gives him her number so that he can send her the address. When she arrives at Yukana's house, Shunichi explains that more people will also come, to which Yukana replies that the more, the better. Shunichi thinks that everything could go wrong. At Yukana's house, while Yukana was getting dressed, she tells Shunichi that eavesdropping is allowed, but he refuses and simply waits. When he was about to watch, Yukana herself appears and invites him in. Inside, Yukana asks Shunichi if he likes her towers. Shunichi asks him if his parents are home today, to which Yukana replies that they are not. Shunichi, knowing that, thinks that this is the big chance. When Shunichi was about to act, this busybody appears. After that, Shunichi's friends appear, who have rather strange clothes. Then, Sakamoto suggests that they start the king game, and Yui thinks that they will do something inappropriate, but Yukana wants to play because she has never done it before. In addition, Nene and Ranko also want to play for their own benefit. So they start the game, where Keigo is the first to play the king, and Shunichi thinks he will do something weird, although he chooses to get a slap, which is Shunichi's turn. Yukana worries about him, although he tells her that he is fine, and Sakamoto asks him to calm down, that he has everything under control. The second turn comes, which is Yukana's turn. She plays the king, and sends Yui to act like a baby, and Yui does it against her will. Then it's Nene's turn, who is ordered to strike a pose, and Shunichi enjoys that. Several more challenges pass, though in the middle of the game, Shunichi notices that Sakamoto is counting the sticks to see whose turn it will be, so he can help him. He sends Shunichi to hand them out, and the next round arrives, and Sakamoto is king. His mandate is to give a kiss, although the girls don't want to do it, least of all Nene. Things change when the numbers they mention raise their hands, and in the end they end up fulfilling the bet. Yukana thanks Shunichi for saving her, and Shunichi gets happy. Someone is jealous, though. After that, they start talking about going somewhere in the summer, and they all decide to go to the beach to have a great time. But before that, they should get a part-time job to have money. At school, the boys are still talking about the jobs they will get to go to the beach with the girls. Sakamoto already has jobs for everyone. For him and Keigo, they will go to an anime store. Minaro will work in a daycare center, and Shunichi will work in the kitchen of a Mai cafe. They are all ready to work. The next day, the work of these two begins. They are sent to carry all these boxes, and when they finish, they return home exhausted, On the way, they run into Monaro, who seems to be doing very well in his job. On the other hand, Shunichi enters his new job and meets all the girls who also work at the My Cafe. He explains to them that he will be working in the kitchen. At that, the boss appears, who is happy for his female employees, and they open the cafe to start working. Back to Sakamoto and Keigo. Sakamoto has become a good worker, and Keigo can only say that he is amazing. As for Shunichi, he enters the dressing room and sees Yui in her underwear, so he gives her a little affection on her face. Then, the air conditioner in the cafe breaks down, and Yukana is hot. Drinking a juice from Shunichi, he sees an opportunity to give Yukana an indirect kiss, but Ranko avoids it. Some time later, we see Sakamoto, who has become a good employee, and his boss appoints him head of the employees. So the days go by as everyone works, and there are only 6 days left to go to the beach. The last day of work arrives, and the boss has chosen a theme for the My Cafe, Reader's Day. The girls dress up as students and have to read books in front of the customers. Yui, reading the first volume of the book, realizes that they are for adults and refuses to read it, leaving. Nene starts reading and likes it very much. Ranko also starts reading, and Yukana joins in. At that, the boss appears, and Shunichi argues with him about which novel the girls will read. But Yui returns and gives the phone to the boss. It turns out to be the owner of the My Cafe, who puts him in his place, and so they settle everything, and the girls will not read anything. Later, when Shunichi and Sakamoto return home, Yukana confesses to Shunichi that he looked great defending her. They start talking about the future and the job Yukana will take. She tells him that it's not just work, but she also wants to do a lot of things with him, like going home together, going out to eat, spending Christmas and birthdays together, and taking pictures. They talk about the trip to the beach, and Yukana wants them to have time together, alone. Shunichi accepts her proposal. Some time later, the most awaited moment for everyone arrives, the beach chapter, where the boys are excited. Shunichi blushes at the sight of his girlfriend in a bathing suit. Thus begins the day at the beach, where Shunichi becomes the center of attention for the girls. The other guys think that things are not going as they had planned, although they don't complain too much, since they have a good view. After Yukana and Ranko go for drinks, Shunichi and his trio start building a sand castle. Far away, Shunichi notices Yukana and Ranko talking to other guys, so he decides to approach. Seeing that Yukana is happy, he thinks that he shouldn't ask Yukana not to talk to other boys. However, Yukana approaches Shunichi, and Ranko does too. Then they thank Shunichi and the others for taking care of their belongings and send them off to have fun. Later, Yukana approaches Shunichi to apply sunblock, and Ranko also joins in. Shunichi decides to use her double-hand jutsu, which makes both girls feel good. On the other hand, the trio of boys suffer from doing nothing in particular, but Sakamoto has a plan. In the evening, they meet with Shunichi to tell him their plan: to spy on the girls as they bathe in the hot spring. Shunichi refuses at first, but eventually agrees. The boys don spy gear and head out to spy. At the girls' showers, the girls are worried that someone will see them, but Ranko informs them that the hotel owner has anti-spy equipment. Meanwhile, the girls enjoy each other's company. Back to the trio of boys, they are about to arrive at their destination. However, Shunichi runs into an alarm and suggests turning back. Sakamoto turns it off and tells Shunichi that he is always one step ahead, and that the alarm was a test to see if he wanted to stop them. Shunichi confesses to him that he is innocent, but the vote finds him guilty. He is captured and made to fall off a cliff. After this incident, the trio's friends follow their plan to see the girls, facing several traps in the process. Sakamoto and Keigo fall into traps, but continue on. However, They also fall into a trap, setting off fireworks that all the girls enjoy. After a while, Shunichi wakes up and realizes that he is standing next to Yukana and the girls. Yukana tells him that she saw him sleeping on the beach. The boys are returned to their room. Returning to Shunichi and Yukana, she confesses to him that the trip was fun, although not exactly as she had imagined. Shunichi proposes that they return to the same place, but alone. Yukana asks him what his perfect date would be, and Shunichi tells her about the amusement park. They start talking about that date, and the girls not far away notice the couple's happiness. Yukana tells Shunichi that they will go to the amusement park together. A day later, Yukana runs into her ex again with her current boyfriend, and the two begin to talk as normal. Shunichi feels invisible as he watches them get along. However, Yukana returns to him and introduces him as her boyfriend. Shunichi is taken aback, but acts friendly. After saying goodbye, Shunichi imagines Yukana together with his ex, which causes him pain. Yukana notices this and tries to stop him, but Shunichi hurts himself. She comforts him, and Shunichi starts talking about Yukana's ex and how handsome he is. Apparently, Shunichi thinks she can't compete with him. When he sees Yukana and his ex together, he feels destroyed, but Yukana comforts him and runs away upset. We then see Shunichi depressed, watching his waifu live. The next day, in class, his friends notice that he is depressed and his friend offers to be a psychologist. Shunichi tells him what happened, and the guys, instead of cheering him up, talk to him about the possibility of him being an NTR, when someone enjoys being unfaithful. Later, in class, Yukana ignores Shunichi as if he were invisible. Shunichi tries to talk to her, but she keeps ignoring him. This continues throughout the day. When Yukana leaves, Shunichi catches up with her and asks her to leave together. However, she informs him that she will be reuniting with her old high school classmates, which devastates Shunichi. After a day of Yukana completely ignoring him, Shunichi feels depressed. His friends take him to karaoke to cheer him up, but Shunichi still feels sad about the images he imagines with Yukana. Sakamoto pulls him out of his sadness and advises him to get ready to make things right with his girl. Shunichi feels positive and joins the karaoke. Later, when he leaves the karaoke, he sees Yukana and his ex together, apparently enjoying each other's company. Shunichi feels invisible and thinks that Yukana was just playing with him. Suddenly, however, Yukana approaches him with an animated attitude. Shunichi is confused, and Yukana tells him that she was teasing him about his lack of experience, which hurt him deeply. He runs away from her, frustrated. The next day, Shunichi and Yukana ignore each other. Yui notices this and decides to meet with Shunichi. Shunichi tells her what has happened and how he feels that Yukana has no feelings for him. Joey, his friend, gets angry at Shunichi for his negative thoughts and leaves him alone. When Shunichi returns home, he meets Nene, who also overhears him. Nene wants to give him advice, but realizes that if Shunichi and Yukana break up, he will have a chance with him. Shunichi is still depressed that night. The next day, at the coffee shop, the girls are together, and Yukana feels sad about not talking to Shunichi. Ranko approaches Shunichi and grabs him, telling him that she will fix him. He reminds her how much Yukana loves him and how she always thinks of him first. Shunichi tells her that he knows, but he feels like a fool and doesn't want Yukana to be anyone's but his. Ranko leaves him alone for showing bravery. But then Yukana's ex shows up with a group, badmouthing her and how easy she is. Hearing this, Shunichi decides to confront him, and tells him to take back everything he said about his girlfriend, but he doesn't want to. Shunichi is not afraid and holds him down. He tells him to go outside, and when they are outside, they start to beat Shunichi up. But Shunichi is so smart that he bites him in the leg, although that causes them to keep kicking him until they leave him on the ground. Just when he thought he was finished, Ranko appears and is surrounded by everyone. But Shunichi's friends also show up to defend him. They tell him to go to Yukana, but Yukana doesn't want to let him go. But these four do not let them pass. Shunichi calls Yukana, but Yukana doesn't answer, so he leaves a message, telling her to meet him behind the school like the first time. On the other hand, Yukana is worried that Shunichi doesn't love her. Her friends tell her that they have never heard him say that and confirm that he loves her. Yukana decides to go see him. On the other hand, everyone is finished, except Shunichi. Shunichi is cornered, so he decides to run away. On the way, he ends up throwing a girl, and Minoru, seeing that, becomes very angry and wants to exterminate him from the earth. But luckily, his friends were there, and Ranko takes care of the rest. Although they leave Minoru to finish the process. Back to Shunichi, Shunichi is waiting for Yukana. While he was waiting for her, he starts to remember the moments he spent together with her. And then Yukana appears. Shunichi sees her and kneels down, asking her to go out with him, confessing that at first he was not in love with her, but simply wanted to stop being otaku. But now he can't live without her. Yukana asks him why he fell in love with her, and Shunichi replies with many qualities that she has. Yukana listens to all that and feels amazed to be with Shunichi. Yukana reminds him that they are already dating and asks him to go somewhere together. After taking a shower, they both meet, where Shunichi, seeing her dressed like this, is amazed. And then they head to this special place, which is the amusement park. Implying that Yukana was listening to Shunichi, they decide to go inside and enjoy the whole park, and end up in a photo booth, where Yukana tricks Shunichi with a fake kiss. The protagonist is only left thinking about how bad it looked. As they leave, Yukana gets very close to Shunichi, telling him how much fun she had together with him, and that she wants them to go back alone again. After that, Shunichi asks Yukana why she trusts him so much after so many bad things he said to her, but Yukana tells him that's a secret. She takes that moment to steal a kiss from Shunichi and says goodbye, leaving our protagonist blank. Although she's embarrassed about that too, the next day, Shunichi is reunited with Yui, who thanks him for helping him realize what he said. But Yui replies that she overcame everything on her own. Then Nene appears, who notices his happiness, and then these two appear. Shunichi and Yukana greet each other with embarrassment, and the girls, seeing that both of them are nervous, think that something is going on. But Yukana pulls him out of it and leaves with him, and that's how this anime ends.